My dearest brothers and sisters, this is Tunia speaking. I love you so very much. Today I would like to make some comments about an important and very controversial topic, namely abortion. This will not be an exhaustive discussion and I will not mention all the things that are important or relevant to this topic. I will only add a few comments to the existing discussion. First of all, abortion is not banned in our society. That being said, Pleiadian women practically never choose to actually have an abortion. Sure, to an extent this is because we have better healthcare and control over whether or not we get pregnant, and also there is no rape in our culture. Still, even if a Pleiadian woman chooses to get pregnant but then due to changing circumstances she no longer wants the baby, or if she gets raped and becomes pregnant by someone from outside our culture, then nearly always she will choose to have the baby anyway. She will have the option to either give up the child for adoption to loving parents, or she can get all the support she wants if she does want to raise her child anyway. We are more communal and less individualistic than most Earth humans, and absolutely she will have all the help she wants. Now, a Pleiadian woman may get an abortion if either the baby is already dead in the womb or is 100% certain to be dead upon birth. For example, if for some reason she somehow does not have access to galactic health services. However, the last abortion that was not because of a dead baby in the womb was literally decades ago, even though abortion is not banned and there are billions of Pleiadian women out there. This is because we see life as sacred, and because we see the conception of a child as a sacred gift of Source. That said, we don't pull out the life is sacred card exclusively when a woman asks for an abortion. We also support our children and our mothers in general. The only thing that might be considered an exception to our view that life is sacred is that we are pro-death penalty if people are convicted in court of having committed horrible crimes, and also they refuse our offer to help them change or heal or repent. After all, if we just lock them up, they will continue to negatively influence their race via the collective subconscious. Those people had and still have their chance, and if they continue to choose the dark despite being offered a path back towards the light even after their crimes, then that is a shame, but we have no problem with executing them to protect the rest of their race from them. If a Pleiadian woman today would request an abortion, then people would sit down with her, have a conversation, and ask how she is doing. If she wanted healing services, or just wanted friends or friendly company, or anything else, she would get it. She would be informed about the options she has, which includes carrying the child and then giving it up for adoption, or raising it herself with all the support she needs. She would be reminded that life is sacred. She would be invited to visit a sister circle and/or a mother circle. But if despite all this she insisted on an abortion, then a doctor who is open to that would help her with that. Because frankly, she could also use existing technology that we have laying around to perform an abortion on herself, which you can think of as our version of the coat hanger abortion. And we're not going to monitor all our women 24/7 just because one of them might decide to perform an abortion on herself. Hence we figure that if a woman decides that she is going to have an abortion, then she is going to, and we might as well help her. The practical real-world alternatives, either forcing women into our version of coat hanger abortions or monitoring women 24/7 and, if necessary, forcing them to carry babies against their will, are worse in our eyes. So, these are the decisions we have made. Of course, Earth humans are free to make their own decisions. We are absolutely not saying that you must do as we do. We are simply sharing what we have decided. There is another very relevant factor there on Earth, which is that women have been oppressed for millennia, and this is still a deep and open wound in the Earth female psyche. And for many women, having access to abortions has become entwined with the idea of not being oppressed. I'm not going to say whether it is fair to consider a ban on abortion to be a taking away of women's rights, but that is how many women perceive it. So long as governments or states keep banning abortion, a lot of women will think much more favorably of abortions than they otherwise would, because a link has been created in the mind of some women between abortions and not being oppressed. Some women, not the majority, but some women, see getting an abortion in part as some kind of blow against the patriarchal structures of society, or as an expression of freedom. Hence, so long as abortion is banned in some places and also so long as the female oppression wound is not healed, humanity is to an extent in a kind of deadlock, Because so long as women perceive that they are oppressed, they for the most part will not be able to start healing their oppression trauma. People in general can't heal from their trauma until they are safe, or in this case, women will struggle to start to heal their oppression trauma so long as they perceive they are still oppressed, and abortion bans are perceived as oppression by many women. Even if you think abortion bans are not oppressive, they are still perceived as such by many women and hence they are reinforcing the oppression trauma in many women. At some point in time, although we won't say if that point should be now or later, we think Earthlings should strongly consider legalizing abortions, and also women should think carefully about whether or not they consider life to be sacred or not, and what the implications of that are. Of course, it would be good if more people than just pregnant women thought about whether they consider life to be sacred, and if so, how society should then be structured. It would also be good if people in general, and certainly including children and mothers and pregnant women, were more supported. There is a good case to be made that abortions should be made legal now, but there is also a good case to be made that abortions should be made legal only at some point in the future, when the consciousness of Earth humans is higher than it is now, which would also lead to fewer women choosing to have an abortion. We will not say if we advocate for legalizing abortion now or only later. That is up to Earth humans to decide. Still, we do not think that Earthlings will ever be able to fully evolve as a species if abortions are kept illegal forever, because then the being oppressed wound in the female psyche will continue to bleed and the man versus woman war will continue. Ultimately, the vast majority of abortions would hopefully stop not because there are laws against abortion, but because individual women choose life, and also because there is more support for everyone, including pregnant women and mothers and children. As people grow in consciousness, you can't keep forcing them to follow rules that someone else puts upon them. This is why as people grow in consciousness, there will have to be fewer and fewer laws, because high consciousness people simply will refuse to follow someone else's laws over their own conscience. The world is more complex than X is bad, therefore we ban X. That principle sort of worked in the past, but it won't work very well as people become more spiritually evolved and sovereign. As people become more spiritually evolved and more inclined to listen to their own guidance instead of following someone else's laws, you can't keep using laws to force people down whichever road you think is better. You have to let relatively spiritually evolved people make their own choices. Indeed, Source, in its infinite wisdom, has also given us free will and has given us the choice of what we want to do with our lives. Moreover, most people's souls crave not safety but crave the ability to explore and expand and experience and make their own choices without being held back by laws that someone else made. We similarly suspect that trying to have abortion be illegal simply won't be feasible at some point in the future, when there will be enough powerful, assertive and spiritually evolved women on Earth. We think they will either go on metaphorical strike, on literal strike, or hold such demonstrations or wield such political power or soft power that abortion laws at some point will be overturned worldwide. Like it or not, but if we look far enough into the future, it looks incredibly unlikely that there will be abortion laws on Earth, yet at the same time, we foresee that very few women will actually choose to have an abortion in the future. Also, the Dark Controllers have some very dark agendas related to abortion. The Dark Controllers want there to be as many abortions as possible. Still, of course this is just our perspective, and of course Earth people get to make their own choices. If you choose to keep abortion illegal forever, then that is your right, and no galactic beings are going to force you to legalize abortion. Finally, I get that this is a tough situation, and my heart so very much goes out to everyone on Earth, including to women who indeed were terribly oppressed in the past, and who haven't been getting the support they probably should have been getting. Admittedly, men also haven't been getting the support they probably should be getting and aren't getting treated as well by society as they should, but the topic is women today, and we do think society is very harsh towards and unsupportive of women in a lot of ways. My sisters, I think you are amazing and strong and beautiful, and I look forward to the day that us Pleiadians will be able to lend you a helping hand in more direct and tangible ways. Thank you for listening. I love everyone unconditionally and eternally. You have my well wishes and my love and respect. Tunia.